Good evening. Welcome to the regular board meeting of the St. Peter School Board. Here, today is Monday, October 16th. Beautiful fall evening. And we are here in the governor's room enjoying it. Thank you for joining us. I will call this meeting to order. First off, let's say the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. Okay, we've got the agenda before us. If there are any requests to speak on any of the agenda items, there are some papers. You can fill out your name, get them over here to Sarah, and we'll give you an opportunity to speak to those items. Next, we need to approve the agenda here before us.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Very good. Agenda is adopted. This evening we have a not too terribly long consent agenda. If we have any specific items we'd like to pull out and consider individually, we can do that. Otherwise, we can take action on the consent agenda as a whole.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? Seeing no discussion, call for a vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Very good. Consent agenda is approved. This evening, we have two new student representatives to the board. And it's great to have you. Thank you for joining us. We have Molly Leonard and Kiera Dunn. Tell us a little bit how you got here and some of your interests, and we won't put you on the spot.
You want to go first?
You just did.
Oh, okay. Well, we ended up being able to be here representing the student body because we're involved within student council. So this year we opted not to do a traditional president, vice president setup, but we're two of the four executive council members, I think is our title. So we're involved within that, and we both expressed interest in being able to share our perspectives here, so that's kind of how we ended up here. Outside of student council, I participate in some other stuff at school, like mock trial, knowledge bowl, National Honor Society, and then I'm also a fellow with the League of Women Voters, so that's some of the stuff that I'm into.
Yeah, me and Kira are pretty similar. We do mock trial, student council, NHS. Yeah, I also just got involved in it through student government, and yeah, we're just asked to be student council representatives, and we both were really interested in it, so that's how we got here.
Yeah, but thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Awesome to
being.
be here.
We really enjoy having a student's perspective and voice on the board, and we appreciate your service. Thank you for that. We won't ask too much of you. There's going to be a lot of these meetings, but we're looking forward to seeing you when you can get here. I understand that schedules get tight and there's a lot of activities, and we're happy to have you when we can have you.
And no tests.
No tests.
Thank goodness.
So thank you. All right, let's start things off right here. We have a student spotlight this evening. Mr. Doherty.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, board members, as you know, the month of October, North Elementary has the honor of selecting our student spotlight in October. And right off the bat, send out an email to all the teachers, ask for nominations for student spotlight. A whole ton of nominations come in, and I get a chance to chat with students, check report cards, attendance, AP classes, college and the advanced courses. I And Elliot's name rose to the top. So I'm excited to introduce everybody to Elliot Rubel. He is a 4th grader in Mr. Lewis's classroom this year. He's all his academic career, he's attended North all 3 years. And so something that just pushed him over the top with all the nominations was his recent anchoring of Saints Center. So every month about, we have staff and students anchor a video where we showcase the things that are happening around the building, around the district sometimes, showcasing students and skills, activities, academics. And he did a phenomenal job. He had transitions in there. He anchored it with Charlotte, a classmate of his. It was just like spot on. It was entertaining and informative. So I'm like, Elliot, you need to be the student spotlight. So he agreed. He agreed to be here tonight. So what we want to do now is I'm going to throw a couple questions Elliot's way, and he's gonna respond. All right, and then hopefully at the very end he can give us just a little sampling of his Saints Center anchoring. Okay, for a bit that we call 90-second news. And we're gonna have to keep it to 90 seconds, Elliot, just so you remember. Okay. Yeah, I know, it's gonna be a challenge. It's gonna be scary. All right, so first question, right off the bat. What do you like about yourself the most right now as a 4th grader?
I like that even though I am one of the smartest kids in class, I'm not saying that. I'm by myself. A couple of kids have told me I'm in like top 3. But I like that I'm able to get high grades, but also have free time and not just cram my schedules studying.
And I did confirm that with your report card. You're doing very well. A lot of good grades. All right, Elliot, as of right now, what do you think your future job will be once you graduate and move college, move on your own?
Hopefully something with computers, because I feel like any job like construction worker or something like that is either going to be probably completely taken over by machinery, or it's going to be me pretty much having to dodge heavy machinery left and right to keep pay.
Keep pace. All right. So what is the funniest thing you've ever done?
Well, on Thursday, in robotics, we had to make a little containment thing for the robot to go in, so to minimize variables. So I wanted to add a bar on top to knock off any Lego minifigures that my friend put on there.
Oh yeah, that is good humor. That's good stuff. So how do you like to spend your time when you can choose what to do with your time?
Normally I'd like to play something like Prodigy Math, sometimes English.
Very good.
Or maybe sometimes draw, maybe sometimes write on Google Docs.
All right. And then maybe you've already given us a little insight to this one, but what do you think will be different about the world when you're an adult?
I think that it's probably going to be kind of a bit either, I think the word in kind of maybe a resource drought, or it's going to be pretty much colonies on Mars, because that's kind of the 2 ways we're headed. And because I've seen the iPhone commercials that are like from the edge of the universe to the palm of your hand, I'm like, I think that the Mars route might be a bit more likely.
All right, some theories there. Okay, so and then the last question. You know, you said you feel pretty good on academics and you're doing well at school, but like what else do you feel you're good at?
I feel I'm at least okay at coding, because I've made a couple solid games on Scratch. I got through quite a bit of little coding. I would say kind of, it's like a course lesson on Game Maker Studio 2. I haven't been.
Scratch is a coding app, right?
It's yeah. Well, actually, it's a website, but you know, similar.
Yep, very similar.
I'd also say I'm decent at tennis.
All right, very good.
Not like great. I can't serve, but I can. I can hit a like a ground shot and also a volley,
All right.
ground stroke.
Very good. All right, so here's the last bit, Elliot. So at North, during Saint Center, there's a bit that Mr. Nick, who's our media para, does a 90-second news. Like it's a minute and a half, that's all it is, and it's like everything generally can squeeze into a minute and a half as far as what students are doing at school, activities around, like in the community. So here's your shot. Okay, you're gonna do a Mr. Nick 90-second news. Like, can you give them a lowdown of everything they need to know what's going on at North? Ready for this? Okay, go.
So student council elections have been finished. The first meeting was on October 4th. A fundraiser has been started as of today, which is October 16th, 2023. Kindness Crew has been walking into classrooms pretty much and staying there for a couple hours, just saying stuff. Well, maybe it's more like half an hour, 15 minutes, but still. And there's this thing called Continental Math going on. Don't exactly know what that is, but I'm interested. The morning announcement system has been changed from Mr. Doherty and the student announcer speaking over the intercom every day to one video every week. So the video's quite a bit longer because it has to fit in a week instead of just in a day. But I think it's worth it.
Very good. Well, that was good. I think you beat the 90 seconds. Nice work there, Elliot. And now, later on in this meeting, you're going to leave here in a little bit, but I have to provide updates for North. Well, you just did it for me. So I'm going to leave with you. No, I will not miss that. So anyway, at this point, we can field any questions that you may have as board members to Mr. Rubel here as student spotlight.
Well, Elliot, I don't have any questions, but you are going to do amazing things in life. And I'm going to remember you sitting at this board meeting, so
Thank you.
You're going to do great things, I can tell.
Yes, thank you for coming and introducing yourself and helping explain some of your interests and what's going on with Mr. Doherty in
Yeah.
elementary. You piqued my interest because you said, "Oh, I'm into coding. I built some sweet games." And that was interesting because my job outside of this boardroom is in technology as well. And so you've heard of the cloud, I'm sure, right? Like cloud stuff. Yeah.
Write his name down.
Yeah, I am part of the cloud. So when you're looking for that first internship, you look me up. We'll see what we can do.
Mr. Doherty, he didn't introduce who he brought with.
We're getting to that one.
Okay.
We're going to field any questions. So
I was just gonna say that I appreciate, Elliot, the fact that you kept it under 90 seconds. 'Cause I'm fairly certain Mr. Doherty won't wait.
totally passed my ability level on that one. Thank you, Mr. Lokenskart.
And continental math, and then go on
Go
on to Math Masters.
Yep.
Okay, awesome, good job.
Yeah. So at this time, Elliot, can you introduce the crowd that you brought with you tonight?
This is my mom.
Hi.
This is my dad. This is my grandpa. And this is my grandma.
Very good.
Nice to meet all of you.
All right.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Good work. I think we did it.
There we go.
All right. Thank you.
Good job,
Thank
Elliot.
you.
Good job.
All right, very good. Well, with that, we are back to business.
Compulsory attendance report, which sounds pretty exciting, doesn't it?
Yeah.
After that?
Hard to top that one.
Oh, student council,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
That's a little
Yes.
better transition, I guess.
right. Okay, our new student council representatives. I hope you didn't overshare earlier, but do you have anything to share with us from the school council report?
Yeah.
Lovely.
Do you want to do a homecoming recap first?
Yeah, so me and Kira, as we said before, we're student council representatives, so we sort of headed homecoming. And that all went really good. I think the dance was a success. It went a lot smoother than it did last year. That was kind of a mess.
Yeah,
I don't know
which
if you
was-
guys heard about that, but yeah, the Pet Fest were all good. I think everybody had a lot of fun. So I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, one thing we wanted to focus on as a council this year was like increasing like participation and accessibility to everybody. And I think with homecoming, we kind of saw improvements with that, and hopefully we'll continue to see that for the rest of the year. I know like our senior sunrise breakfast is an event that we do annually, the Monday of that homecoming week, and we saw like the highest attendance we ever have this year, so that was exciting for us. So our goals for the rest of the year are just to continue reaching as many students as we can, hopefully driving participation up so everyone has a fun time at school and things like that. So yeah.
Great.
But,
It's my understanding that in the past years, the homecoming dance has been in the commons area at the high school.
yes.
But this year, it was moved to the gymnasium.
Yeah.
So how'd that go?
We honestly thought that it went well. We ran into some problems just as a council decorating the space, making it look good, because typically our decorations go in the commons, but as far as like dancing went, we thought the format really worked because we had half of the gym like designated for dancing and then half of the gym where you could just kind of stand, hang out, talk with friends. But yeah, that was definitely one of the big challenges that we faced, trying to figure out a new system after we've done it the same so many ways. But I thought it went well.
Mhm. Yeah.
We've talked about actually like implementing that in the future, just like by choice, because we also thought it was easier to like contain the students within that space. Kids weren't like slipping in and out. Like it was a lot easier to make sure that everyone was following like the policies we had in place as well. So
What was the reason for moving it to the gymnasium?
There was just a schedule conflict, so the Mankato Orchestra was in the Commons area sort of at the same time, because they were
Gotcha.
doing it in the theater. So.
yeah.
So did they put something out on the gym floor then, or were you guys all just kind of?
We were on the gym floor, but we made sure that they stayed on like one of the more practice courts. So it was like if you're facing the gym, it was the court to the left.
I gotcha.
And we made sure that kids stayed off that middle court and make sure that it stayed nice for sports and things like that. So, but yeah, I thought it went well personally. Yeah.
Great.
Anything else you guys are wondering about homecoming? It's kind of a lot that went on, so a pretty busy week. If there's anything you guys are wondering, though, can you fill in?
That was the rain delay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Not delay, but
Yeah.
it was a break
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
play.
But that's unfortunate. But I think a lot of people did power through and stayed for the whole game. I did not personally, but yeah.
Yeah, the floats were out there. It was good to see.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful day.
Yeah.
It was lovely. Any other questions? Yes. All right. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, now we're really back to it. All right, we've got a handful of action items here before us. And we will start with number one, which is we are going to consider approving the compulsory attendance report.
Yes, this is a report that is required by the state each year, and for the last 3 years, our number of students who have been attending private or homeschool has stayed exactly the same, although numbers at each building changed a little bit. The total has been 178 for the last 3 years running. Back in 2021, we did see a peak at 188. That was the peak of COVID. And then prior to that, we see that those numbers are in the 120s. So right now, the homeschool number, as you can see in that 2021 year, doubled that year. And they have maintained that higher number, although it's coming down each year, and I would expect that that number will continue to come down as those students get older. John Ireland has a little bit higher number, which is one student more from last year, and they are maintaining their program. They did add the middle school, although that didn't result in a big number of students opting to have middle school, as you can see from their numbers. And then Minnesota Valley Lutheran has 10 students, Loyola Catholic Schools 12, St. Peter Lutheran has 54 students, so same numbers last year, but that continues to come down a bit. Trinity Lutheran at Nicollet has 1 student, and then you can see the 10-year totals there at 178. And a little bit later in the year, as we get into it, we will take another glance into incoming and outgoing students. And I think that's usually in January that we take a look at that report for students who have open enrolled out of the district and open enrolled into the district. But this is the compulsory, which only includes private schools and homeschools. I'm not sure why they put homeschool and private school together, but they do. Questions?
I would entertain
I'll make a motion to approve the compulsory attendance report.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any more questions, discussion? Seeing none, we'll call for vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign. All right, motion passes. Compulsory attendance report is approved. Item number 2, considering the approval of the second and final reading of the revisions to the policy manual. Those being policy 506, 601, 604, which deal with student discipline, school district curriculum and instructional goals, and instructional curriculum.
Just a reminder that all 3 of these policy, the changes were as a result of the legislative session last year and changes in statute language, and so the policies now follow the statute language. And I did not receive anything further for these 3, and I don't.
Nor have I.
All right. So they have come before you the same as they were last month.
Okay, very good. Entertain a motion.
And hearing no feedback other than that, I would recommend that we approve these policies 506, 601, and 604 as presented.
Very good. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Very good. We have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion? All right, seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor? Say
Aye.
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 Those opposed? Very good. Motion passes. And the final reading of the revisions are in place. All right, action item number 3 tonight. Consider the policies with legislative requirements for approval with 1 reading.
So policy 618, assessment of student achievement, is also, the changes are all due to the legislative session and statutory language. Does not materially change the policy, and so can come before you for a single reading. And those were sent out to you prior to the meeting for review. We did not receive any feedback, and so here it is.
Okay, very good.
So therefore, I would move to accept policy 618.
Okay, very good. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, thank you. Well, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All right, seeing none, call for a vote. All those in favor? please say
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Very good. The motion passes. Thank you very much. Item number 4. Consider the approval of the superintendent goals for the 2023 to 2024 school year.
All right, moving right along.
Yes.
Chair Potts was not able to join us this evening. He and I worked on developing these goals based on our strategic plan, the action plan, and the priority items before us. And so came up with these 4 goal areas: complete the action steps outlined in the strategic plan, which pretty much is all of the goal areas of the action plan, and providing the documentation for progress on those areas. Enrollment growth, the focus would be enhancing our enrollment campaign to include social media, online, and printed marketing materials. The implementation of legislative actions. We've had lots of conversations about how many legislative changes were included in the last session. With so many changes, we have policies, procedures, trainings, curriculum requirements, and it is a pretty big undertaking to put all of those in place. So we have included that in the goal areas, and then to make sure that we are communicating those throughout the organization and making sure we're implementing the changes that are being adopted. Case in point, these policies that we just accepted for second reading have some pretty big changes for the system, and it's going to take some time and effort to make sure that those are fully in place. And then for building and operations, our continued conversations about the middle school needs and the HVAC systems, and making sure that I am giving you as a school board what you need to make educated decisions regarding buildings and operations. So this was our draft. We sent those out earlier for feedback from individual school board members, made a few adjustments to the language based on that feedback, and are now here before you for consideration.
Do we have any initial questions or comments? Concerns? Okay.
So Superintendent Grunseth, you're okay with these goals, I take it?
I am.
But,
No, well, there's not a but, there's just,
A couple of them
The-
look pretty ambitious.
yes, they do. You know, I think when you consider the action plan in total, there are 14 goals included in the action plan. And now, a lot of that, I have an amazing team, and we don't do anything alone, and we do difficult things together. So it's a whole team approach. I would say enrollment growth as a focus, I put the focus more on developing a campaign and having a strong campaign. You know, we're gonna look at enrollment numbers here in a little bit, but you're gonna see that, you know, small changes in our community can have an effect on enrollment. You know, we had one family lose their housing, and we're down 9 students. Well, unless a family with 9 students moves into that house, we can't make that up. So there are things that are outside of my control. So I try to focus on what are the things that are within my control in an area that may not.
Very good.
Well, I just assume that we adopt these goals, then that's what the evaluation will be based upon at the end of the year. So I want to make sure that you're comfortable with it.
And I would assume that we would take into account if something drastically happens in the community, that we're not gonna
Right.
Right.
hold them accountable for
things outside.
houses.
No, we don't have control over housing.
Correct.
And as you said, it's just the campaign rather than the actual numbers. You're not making a commitment on that, yeah,
And that's, I think, a good change
yeah,
from
yeah.
their initial.
Mhm.
And I know when we have new students or new families moving into the district and they're attending school, we do make it an effort to find out what was the motivation for coming to St. Peter. And sometimes it's self-evident, other times it's not, and maybe that would be the opportunity. We could maybe potentially start seeing, well, it was, I saw a flyer, you know, and we can maybe get into the weeds there a bit to flush out. Did it have an impact?
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
There you go.
Well, and in talking about the goals in particular, I don't really see anything on there that we could say, we could pull it off. Do you know what I mean? I just think they're all very, very important, you know, even though it is like hefty, it's hefty ambition. I mean, I just think when we do the review, we just have to keep that in mind, that it is a high bar, and keep that in mind when we're doing the review, I guess. Because I don't really think we can be like, oh, we'll just take enrollment growth off, or building it up. I mean, what would you take off of there? Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So,
I'll make a motion to approve the superintendent goals for 23-24.
Very good. Thank you, Tim.
Second?
Thank you, Kate. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? I feel that these goals are appropriate for a superintendent level position in a district, and I'm comfortable with them. Any further discussion, comments? All right, seeing none, we'll call a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed? Very good, motion passes. Superintendent goals set for the 23-24 year. All right, our final action item this evening is our only resolution this evening. We are going to consider the approval of a resolution supporting the district's application for a grant from the Minnesota State High School League Foundation.
And it's me again, Mr. Workassi, the man who is everywhere, is at the volleyball game tonight. So let's go volleyball team. This is an annual application. This covers scholarships of activities fees and equipment and other ways that we support students who receive free or reduced price lunch. I say that because this grant only applies to students who are eligible for free and reduced price lunch. Another reason that it's important for families to fill out that form. I just want to make a note, side note, we do support students even if they are not eligible for free and reduced price lunch, if they are coming and telling us that if they have a financial hardship. But for this specific grant, they need to be officially eligible. So there it is.
Any initial comments or discussion?
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution supporting the application for a grant from the MSHSL.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you, Tim, Bill. Any further discussion? Okay, very good. We'll call a vote. Being that it's a resolution, it will be a, what do we call that? Roll call vote.
Yes.
So to my left, Tim.
Aye.
I
Aye.
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 Very good. Resolution passes. Thank you very much. All right, moving on to informational items. We have a report on our student enrollment.
Surprise, it's me.
And it's. That's it.
So the state of Minnesota takes our the first Monday in October student count as a guideline for our funding for the year. And I know that it's a common gosh, I'm having word problems tonight. Most people think, but it's not true, that is our funding for the year. And really, that is the date that they use to predict our funding for the rest of the year. Our funding comes from the state in payments over the course of the year, quarterly payments. And what they do is they wait until we have the official enrollment number for the year, the average student enrollment for the year. And in that last payment, which comes in November of the following year, by the way, they make an adjustment to the actual number of students that you have. So it's not that October count that's the money you get. That's what they predict. So it's important for us to be budgeting based on our projection of what that final number will be. So we know that over the course of the year, we tend to lose a few students. Some of them graduate early, some of them go to Rock Bend, and which their funding changes. But so we know that the number at the end of the year is going to be a little lower than at the beginning of the year. So when we try to budget, we try to head for the middle, because that's where our funding is going to land. So as you see, October 2nd, our total count is 2,032 students. October 9th was 2,023. Like, wow, we went down in just a week. And in this particular week, one of our families, the house that they were renting sold to a single family, which is great. But the family that was moving out had 7 or 8 students in our schools, and the family moving in had fewer students. So, and that happens multiplied by however many houses are sold in our community. So people are coming and going, students are coming and going. And if you watch this number from week to week, it does have peaks and valleys. But at the end of the year, we usually end up a little bit lower than when we start. To make matters even more complicated, because we live in Minnesota, this enrollment number, I call this is if we counted all the noses. That's how many noses are in the school. When we talk about our budgets, we start talking about APUs, which is adjusted pupil units. So students who are in grades 7 through 12 are multiplied by 1.2, because they get a little bit more than the student base of funding. So based on APUs, we have about 2,230.6 students. So if they were doing our funding today, that's the number that they would use. But we won't know that number until we're done with the year. So that's my story on enrollment and a little finance 101.
That's great. Demystifying the way some of the sausage is made at the state level, right?
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So do you ever have to pay money back in November?
Well, you don't have to pay it back because they don't give it to you.
Okay.
They just hold back. Or, if you're lucky enough to be on the growth side, which we have been for a long time, you end up getting a little extra payment at the end. But if you have declining enrollment, it's usually the other way around. Unless we're really good at projecting where we're gonna be, then it comes in, generally, we're within 1 to 2% of that budgeted amount from what we get. So that's, if you don't start with a good projection, then you're off all the way through.
Okay, very good. Thank you for that report.
Mm-hmm.
Final informational item this evening, we're going to talk about fundraising plans by site for the 23-24 school year. So per building, the reason that we do this is to help the community, probably more so than anything else, help the community understand that, yes, there are some programs that the schools engage in, the students engage in, for various fundraising opportunities. And for the community at large to be familiar with what they are, or at least be able to identify that, yes, I'm comfortable that this is a legitimate fundraising activity, and I can be comfortable giving or not giving, rather than, you know, I have no idea what this is, and your red flags go up, and you're, so this is just a way to help get in front of that a bit. So, should we ask the principals to come up and go through these lists, or, yeah, why not? We haven't seen you all night, let's do it.
Come on down. Oh, it's,
No big deal.
I went with the October 2nd because
It's
this
in
is,
the- in the column of the column.
Thanks.
yeah.
Oh, he takes good care of me, gets me a chair, he hands me his notes, wonderful.
I did not.
All right, I will go ahead and get
Gotcha.
started. Tara did nothing, we wanted that.
Sorry
Nobody.
I will go ahead and start. At South Elementary, what can I say, we're not great salesmen, although we probably could sell just about anything if we did go to door, but we just feel really strongly that it's not appropriate for students at our age. So if you notice, everything on that list is basically things that our students can do without having to go and solicit from anyone. So the Scholastic Book Fair is done annually, and that is run for our media center. Yearbook, we join forces with Early Childhood and North Elementary. Box tops, some of the box tops and clothing sales, we did just send home forms for our school PBIS shirts, clothing options, along with some Saints Pride clothing, so that our parent council will work through that. We do a readathon. That is the only thing that we do, the students do take home and ask people if they'd like to donate, but we really do push that they can only ask the people that are in their family, so. And we don't consequently have a lot of money in our student activity fund, but I feel like our parent council kind of helps to pick up that slack.
Yeah, and the north one is pretty similar. So the first three lines are really about collecting items just within the community fund, like playground equipment. That's one that we don't necessarily have a line item for. So like balls and jump ropes and flag football gear and things like that. The one that we've been doing for a number of years is that Club Choice fundraising, and that changes from year to year. And again, kind of like Doreen talked about with, there's not door-to-door sales. Basically, you're telling, you know, the North students, which Elliot mentioned today because we had our kickoff today, like only talk with relatives, like people, your family, only talk with your family. And that is pitched very strongly. Like we do not want anybody going door to door. And our focus this year, and it'll probably be multiple years, but it's really about breaking down barriers on our playground. You know, some more features out there for people with varying abilities, whether they're utilizing a wheelchair, crutches, you know, other devices, and they can't. They're mobility wise, there are some barriers that happen out there. So I'm working with Sharon Peterson on breaking down some just barriers to get to those elements or features on the playground, but then adding some as well. So that'll probably be a multi-year funding because it's going to be pretty expensive, but it's a great one. And then, let's see, the rest of them are same as previous years. Doreen mentioned the the readathon, which is the same thing at North, but we do a mathathon on Pi Day, and the funds that go right toward buying shirts for all the kids. They all get their North Elementary shirts. Then Student Council has a couple items there that they fund.
And at the middle school, we do the box tops and receive a collection. North and South does it. We collected and put them on the list. But the two other fundraisers that we do, our band students, our 7th and 8th grade band students, have the opportunity to participate in those fruit sales, which goes toward those band trips. And the new one that we're going to try this year is for our theater department. We're going to do Saints blanket sales through a company called Fundraising Blankets. An area school district has used this company before and had some great success with it. Essentially, they're really cool blankets with the Saints logo, and we'll just advertise that at all of the schools, and it'll be our message to parents. Just a $30 blanket, we get a pretty good profit to come back to our theater department, and that'll be used for costumes and potential upgrades with lights and sound and things like that.
Very good. And it looks like at the high school, the band department will have fruit sales and other food products. This is in October through December. Raise Right, Quick Trip cards, Pizza Ranch night in Mankato, and they'll be doing concessions at a Twins game in the spring of 2024, which is kind of interesting. I don't know if you've seen this before.
That's cool.
Yeah. The choir in November will see Quick Trip car washes and gas cards and coffee sales, Driven Coffee. So I wonder if that's like if Driven Coffee is the name of the coffee, or are they like delivering it? We'll see. FFA is involved with snack stick sales, Farm Field, not a fundraiser, but a source of income for the FFA. FFA Week Farm to School meal, which is very popular. High school. Fruit sales, a classic car roll-in in the spring, and greenhouse produce and plants in the spring. World languages in the winter, looking at chocolate and food sales and ongoing online coffee sales. And the prom and class dues are looking at, is it Hedgie's Pizza or Heggies? Heggies? Heggies Pizza fundraiser in the spring. So that covers all places. Thank you.
Driven Coffee is the name of the coffee company.
The name of the coffee company.
So
all
I
right.
have a question. So there would happen to be a little boy who came to my house tonight selling something, but I didn't really ask many questions, and I didn't know if it was for like Boy Scouts or something, but do you think maybe it was for this club's choice?
Might have been.
Okay. I thought of it after I left, after I told him I'm sorry, but I'm making supper, so.
I noticed that the Boy Scouts are out there right now.
Boy Scouts.
Boy
So,
Scouts
yeah,
are out there.
he said he was
Selling
just
popcorn.
We
fundraising.
weren't selling popcorn, really.
I don't know, I just said I was making supper and I was gonna be late for the board meeting, so.
I yelled at him and left.
I smiled really nice and said, I'm so sorry, I can't right now.
He waited. When you get home, he'll be
Yeah, he'll be there.
He'll still be there, sitting at the door going, and
They're persistent.
then I'll talk with him.
No wonder when the supper's coming.
Yeah, there you
I
go.
know, thanks, guys, I feel really good now.
Well, don't go quite yet, because we have principal building updates, right? Oh, yeah. Oh!
Yeah, switch pieces of paper.
You had to go to your locker, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't plan for that transition.
Okay.
We're gonna all squeeze all the
Oh, sure.
Mrs. Engeldinger
There's
is
no
gone.
sickness going around.
One unified team.
Yeah.
Right. All right, so in early childhood, we are getting in the early childhood groove. We're a month in, we're getting to it, and things are going well. We're smoothing out. Our focus has been safety. We've had bus safety and fire safety. We made a field trip up to the new fire station, our neighbors up there. I got shout out to firefighter Ed Johnson for taking on those preschoolers and answering their questions and getting in his gear and talking about if someone comes into your home, you don't hide. These are, we're here to help you, like all the important things. So that was great. Most of us walked. A few of the 3-year-old groups took a little bus up. So they got bus safety and fire safety all in.
Ah.
So that was great. We had our first early childhood screening of the year last week, and that was packed full. And we got a lot of 4s and 5s in there, so that's always good. We did have several referrals from screening, and that's kind of the whole point of it. We want to provide early intervention. So kids come to screening, we do a screener, see where they're doing, where they're at in the various developmental areas, ask their parents if they have any concerns. From there, we get referrals. The referrals can either go on to be an assessment for special services, or maybe there's an underlying reason or cause, or we check back, we monitor, et cetera. So those screenings are really, really important in catching students who just need a little extra support in getting that early intervention going. So that was good. So that's me. All right, and I will echo at South, we too did bus safety and fire prevention and took a trip, only we did take buses to the new fire station. We also focused this month on Indigenous Peoples Day, and we did some learning activities with that, encouraged our families to participate in the walk that happened last Monday.
We are also doing some special things for Hispanic Heritage Awareness Month, trying to just really get our students aware of the variety of cultures that are within our school setting. And it's been very helpful to have the liaisons help us through that process. One of the things that we did with the Indigenous Peoples Day was there was actually a presentation that featured some of our students that go to South Elementary. So it was their chance to showcase their heritage a little bit. And I always think if you can make it a little more personal like that, it means a little more to all of the students. We are, believe it or not, gearing up for our conferences, our first conferences of the year, which will be that first week in November. So starting next week, families will have the opportunity to sign up for that. We'll also have our first early release this Wednesday, so I just sent out a notification now. So PLC groups, K-12 PLC groups will work for 1 hour, and the first hour will be spent at sites on some professional development in whatever area that the specific site is working on. And I also wanted to put in a plug for the South Parent Council meeting will be held on Tuesday, October 24th.
I was gonna go around the
Yeah,
corner,
you better,
but-
go ahead. Keep them guessing.
Yes. Well, we're doing some similar themes. We had Liliana come and talk about Hispanic Heritage Month with the students at Rock Bend. Probably a little bit different focus at the high school level, but she talked about kind of the population in St. Peter Public Schools and the number of Hispanic students and just in our schools and in our community and what that means. And some of the events that were coming up. So our students really enjoyed that. We got some really positive feedback from having her visit. We also had some great discussions for Indigenous Peoples Day. We brought the students, not actually on Indigenous Peoples Day, but that week to the Treaty Center and did a walking tour. And so the students were really engaged in some history about Indigenous people, specifically in our area. And they really enjoyed that. Today and tomorrow, our students at Rock Bend are engaging in service days at McGowan's Farm. So they go out after History Fest and help kind of clean up with Jack. And they really enjoy doing that. We've been doing that for a number of years. And then just kind of last thing is we've been really doing the Character Strong thing. We recently did a survey of our students just to get some SEL student perception data and got some really interesting results. So we're talking about that as a staff. In terms of night school, we had really great success with summer school. So when we evaluated the number of referrals for night school, it was low coming into this school year. So we have postponed starting that until November. So registration will be available in November, and then we're gonna run night school from after Thanksgiving until the start of winter break. So if there are students and parents wondering where that is this year, it's just postponed a little bit. So.
All right, and at the middle school, we hosted a homecoming assembly on Homecoming Friday. Highlights from that, we sang the school fight song. We were really purposeful in teaching every student the words to the fight song this year. So we sang along as the 7th and 8th grade bands played. We had the high school cheer team there, which is always a favorite, especially when they throw candy at our kids. And then also the high school fall sports captains came and played minute-to-minute style games with our weekly Saints Pride students. So a lot of fun there. Last Wednesday, our 5th graders attended History Fest. Thank you for cleaning up after us. If you remember, last Wednesday was very rainy. We had a lot of cold and wet feet, but they really enjoyed it. Coming up here on October 24th, our 5th and 6th grade science teachers, Ryan Mira and Megan Gaber, are taking 95 5th and 6th graders to Gustavus Science and Nature Conference. That's the most students we've ever had. Good luck to them. They have 13 parent chaperones going, and it should be an amazing day. And then lastly, our 6th graders have begun their preparations for BizTown, which this year will be a little bit earlier on November 21st. I had the pleasure of being in a math class today, and we were balancing checkbooks. It's been a while, but I remembered how to do it.
Yeah, exactly. A greeting from North Elementary, where essentially I'll be repeating some of Elliot's presentation from earlier. So I'll try to throw in a couple. First, I want to echo what Doreen and John were talking about with our Hispanic Heritage Month. And a shout out to native Spanish-speaking class, Vero Castillo-Clark had all of her students from her course come down to North, and they presented, they made 4 stations. And so all of our students, basically by homeroom or a couple of homerooms at a time, were able to listen to the presentations where they talking music and culture and dress and teaching some Spanish and counting and with some hopscotch. Like it was action packed. And it was so fun to see those students come down, and the high school students, and they were really nervous about talking with the groups. And then once they had to do 3 rounds of that. And so after the first round, they're like, we just kept getting better and better every time. And so, yeah, thanks for the coordination with that. And Liliana helped a ton with that as well. I mean, that takes a lot of planning and coordination. So thanks so much, high school students, and Liliana and Vero for that. Also, just shout out to the families and students that participated in Walk and Roll to School on October 4th. Like we have that's really changed a lot since we started doing that. Our bike racks have been packed at North, and that's awesome. There was a time where you'd see like 1 or 2 bike racks or bikes in the bike rack at North, and now they're just full all the time, like weather permitting. And so that's really great to see. I mean, just families, like kids being more independent. That's what we talk about. If we have one wish for our kids, it's the highest level of independence possible. And that takes some coordination on the family's parts as well. So and then also Officer John Hughes coordinates all that too. So he gets, I mean, the EMS crew was out there, the sheriff's department, the PD, like everybody was at crosswalks, and like it was, and we even made the bus riders, like we dropped off like a block and a half away. And they were like, what's going on here? And they had, and then they just sprinted down the hill. They're like, we didn't sign up for this. And they just take off running all the way to North. So
I didn't sign up for this program.
yeah, I know they didn't sign up at all. Half of them were sleeping, but they everybody was walking or rolling.
Budget cuts, I tell you.
Yeah, exactly. So it was great. So thanks, Officer John, for helping to coordinate that and get that rolling, and everybody in the community that participates. Shout out also the 4th grade students. We asked 4th grade students to submit like artwork design for our yearbook every year, and I bet you there were like 80 designs that were submitted. We just ask, that they represent North and South in the preschool as much as possible, because it's not just North, even though fourth graders are kind of focusing on North, but we're like, okay, how can you bring them all together? And so we send out finalists. We usually go down to like 8 finalists, and then we allow the kindergarten through 4th grade homeroom classes to vote on their top choice. And so, yeah, looking at the results for that. Like John mentioned, Science and Nature Cap, we don't have 90, but we do have 70 3rd through 4th graders. So we're looking at 160 St. Peter kids going to Gustavus on the 24th. So that's a great enrichment opportunity, and we're just lucky to have that resource right here in town. Elliot talked about Continental Math League. So we're doing a different rollout on this. Usually we invited a group of kids, but now we're actually offering it to every kid at North. 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade can participate, and we're doing coaching sessions. So they have to do the practice. They get the practice packets and stuff at home to practice, and then there's coaching evenings after school that are optional, and then there are 5 or 6 competitions during the school year, and then we submit scores to see how we rank as a school. So looking forward to that. It's been a while since we've had Continental Math going.
Thank you.
Lovely, thank you, appreciate it.
My turn.
Yes, Superintendent Bronseth.
Yes, because you haven't heard from me yet today.
No, go ahead, speak freely.
A couple of things. First, I want to thank people for filling out the survey regarding calendar preferences. It was really interesting, and I'm glad to have the input. There were about 200 staff that filled out the survey, and about 600 families in the community that filled that out. So it came out to be almost exactly 50-50 for every question. So I'm sorry to nearly half of you that won't like some of the things, and you're welcome to the other half who will like that. But don't worry, that there'll be some aspect of the calendar that you did not prefer and others who did. So I will try to do my best to put some drafts together. Actually, I have been working on them and already getting feedback from our administrative team and meeting with teacher union representatives and kind of putting that draft in front of people, getting more input. And we will continue to refine those, hopefully bring them to you probably December, January, for the next 2 years. So that'll be great fun. The other thing I wanted to talk about, you heard a lot about our students learning about bus safety as the year started. I talked about it a little bit last month. Just want to shine a light on it again, that it is up to all of us as community members to keep bus safety in mind as well. Now, as we head a little deeper into fall, it's very often still dark when our students are waiting on corners throughout our community and in the country as well. Please be mindful of our students as they are waiting for their buses. And when you see flashing lights or a stop arm, please do stop for our school buses. Our students' safety depends on what they do, but also on what all of us do as community members. So please keep that in mind.
Very good. Student council members, representatives, we're going to do a once around the table with the board members. It's just an opportunity for us to speak about anything that might be in our mind. There's no requirement to say anything, but if there was something that you wanted to highlight when it comes around to you, feel free. Otherwise, no worries. So Kate, are you?
Starting on this side now.
Yes.
I just want to, the NAPAC Indigenous Peoples Day walk was a great success. And I want to thank all the board members and administrators and teachers that were there, and the dancers and the drum and the singers were excellent, and we'll do it again next year.
Mr. Cal.
I'd like to echo that because I did attend and it was very educational. So. Also, last Saturday, was it? Or last Friday, I mean, we had Saints Cafe at Diamond Dust and had a few people come. That's always interesting. Next one is November 4th at,
Put me on the spot.
Nicollet, is it Nicollet Cafe or is it at McDonald's? I can't remember.
It'll be posted.
But it's an opportunity for members of the community to stop and talk. E.T. was there, I was there, and Superintendent Grunseth was there. So it was, had some good conversations. So.
I had to look it up. It is Saturday, November 4th at Nicollet Cafe at 8 o'clock.
And then the busy time of the year for the HR committee has started. If you look at the schedule, you'll see all the meetings as we begin negotiations with our various groups.
Very true. Nothing for me.
I am the St. Peter's Schools representative on the Minnesota Valley Education District, and one of our topics that we talked about, and hopefully we'll be talking about more, is looking at wanting to do a transition program, which would be for kids in ages 18 to 21, or is it 22 now?
22.
Usually that's, or not usually, it's for kids who qualify for special education services that would normally graduate after being a senior, and just who maybe just need a little bit more time to figure out their path in life, whether that would be work skills or school skills. I think it's something that's really needed in St. Peter, and obviously the other districts as well. And so hopefully you guys will be hearing more about it, and it is obviously something that I feel very passionate about. And I think the other members are going back to their districts as well. So when you hear transition program, that is what that is about.
I would just take a moment to remind the community that in 3 weeks we do have an election, even though it's not an election day I am not running to be back on the board, so I feel it's okay for me to say it, that it is the community and everyone's responsibility, and you have the ability to vote members that you want to see around this table. So I think it's very important that we vote. And just a reminder, even though it's not a big election day, it is for members around this table.
Yes.
So, please vote.
Very good, thank you.
Engeldinger wasn't here, so we have some things we can fill you guys in on if you want.
Yeah, great.
Just
Yeah.
about the
Yeah.
high school.
Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, first, we did do an Indigenous Peoples' Day presentation during PLP that was put together by Mr. Warren, I believe, who is an Indigenous teacher at our school. Also, for Hispanic Heritage Month, the same class who went down to North did like a meal for us. So during lunchtime, they prepared like their own separate meal. I can't remember what the main course was, but they had like horchata and tres leches cake also. And it was very good, and it was super cool.
Yeah, they decorated like our commons lunchroom as well, and
Mhm.
like played some Hispanic music. It was pretty cool. So we also our National Honor Society chapter has some exciting things coming up as far as service projects go. So at our past October meeting, all active members decorated pumpkins like with paint markers that were later donated to the Ecumen locations in towns. So that was something exciting. And then also our large service project for our first semester, we typically do one first semester, one second semester. Our goal is to raise $1,000, and we're going to be using that money to create care kits for homeless people to donate to local homeless shelters. So we kind of budgeted it out, and we're able to create 100 kits for $1,000, $10 a kit, and it includes a lot of like useful resources for someone who's like currently struggling with homelessness. Like it includes like warm socks, pair of gloves, a hat, different hygiene products, and some non-perishable snacks as well. So that's an exciting thing that we have coming up that will hopefully be accomplished like towards Christmas. Like I think our goal is to have it done before winter break. So that's pretty exciting.
Great, thank you for the update, appreciate it. Thanks for the updates. Let's take a look at our upcoming meetings of the school board. We have an HR committee meeting coming up on the October 18th at 4 p.m. in the St. Peter Middle School conference room, maybe. Policy committee, October 25th at 4 p.m. at the in the district office. An HR committee again in October 30th at 4 p.m. in the middle school conference room. Business committee meeting, November 8th, 4 p.m. in the district office. Education committee meeting November 10th, 8 a.m. in the district office. Yet another HR committee meeting. November 16th at 4 p.m. in the middle school conference room. And we will be back here again for our regular scheduled board meeting, November 20th, 6:30 p.m. right here in the governor's room.
Don't we have a special board meeting sometime?
I don't
To
know that
canvass
that's been set.
results.
It was said, but it's not within the dates that it needs to be, so we need to.
Okay.
have it controlled.
Okay,
It's confusing, but-
Yeah.
okay.
Very good. True, absolutely. Anything else?
One last thing.
Yes, thank you.
We are looking at scheduling a study session prior to the November regular board meeting to talk more about the middle school HVAC remodeling project.
Boy, can we just get one more meeting in there?
Sure.
Thanks.
Are we planning to do that immediately before the board meeting, or is that gonna be a different?
We're thinking immediately before that
Okay,
meeting because everyone's already coming.
sure. In this building?
Yeah.
Right, but probably downstairs.
Right, okay. Very good. With that,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
do we have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Very good, meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Tracy, we probably have a nickel count.